Good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here. I am joined by Councilman Dino Bonanno, Tim Kerner Jr. from Lafitte is our mayor, Director of Emergency Management Joe Valiente, our Director of Public Works Mr. Mark Drews, our Director of Drainage Mitch Terrio, from Entergy Patrick Hamby, our Public Service Commissioner Mr. Eric Scrametta, and from the Southeast Louisiana Flood Protection Authority West Mr. Nick Calley, as well as Board President Scott Burke. And the Southeast Louisiana Flood Protection Authority East will be represented by Antoine Harris. The Chief of our East Bank Consolidated Fire Department, Chief Dave Tibbetts. Director of our West Bank Fire Services, Brian Adams, as well as Dr. James Gray, who was our Jefferson Parish School Superintendent, and Gary from the Deaf Action Center. Thank you for joining us today. Okay, we are here regarding Hurricane Delta. When we started this season, I came to you saying that 2020 was predicted to be a very active season with 12 named storms. So here we are, it's 2020, and we're at 25 named storms. So major hurricane in the Gulf, Hurricane Delta. We are in the cone in Jefferson Parish. We're 3 days out. So we would expect to feel the effects of this storm, and the purpose of this press conference is to make sure that everyone is prepared about the dangers before us in the next coming days. Everybody needs to stay very aware. Everybody needs to pay attention to all of their media stations, certainly Jefferson Parish, and the upcoming the updates we'll have in the next few days. So be prepared. I know everybody's tired. I know everybody's weary. I know 2020 has been tough. It does not reduce any of the threats that are coming our way because we've been through a lot in 2020. It does not matter, and I've said this before, and we know what to do, and we're going to do that. And that's certainly the position we're taking in the parish. So be prepared, stay alert, and be ready to activate your family plan. The threats are from storm surge, damaging winds, heavy rains, 4 to 6 inches of rain, could be double that depending on how the banding comes in. So many threats. Of course, those secondary effects, and we have Entergy here, the power outages, the fallen trees, and we have seen people lose their lives in our state from fallen trees, and the flooded streets, reminding everyone it is very dangerous to drive in flooded streets, especially how we're set up in the parish, in our area, the open canals. You don't know where the road ends and the canal begins. You could have vehicle damage. There's no reason to put yourself in that kind of a dangerous situation, a very vulnerable situation. So now's the time to prepare so you will not have to go out. I signed an emergency declaration today at about 2:30. Mayor Carmodel from Grand Isle issued an emergency declaration this morning. He also called for any of the residents who have boats and campers to do an evacuation now because that takes a lot of prep time ahead of time. So if you have a boat or camper in Grand Isle, you should be making your preparations to exit and leave that area. And stay tuned over the next couple days for many more of these kinds of updates. We stand ready in Jefferson Parish. So even as of last update, we have one more pump online. So we have 193 pumps ready to go in Jefferson Parish. That additional pump of a 20 CFS pump at North Sibley. We have 73 pump stations ready, 50,661 cubic feet per second that we can drain. We're operating at 100% capacity. Citizens, we know how to do this, and now is the time that we should be doing this. We need to clear our catch basins. We need to give our extensive, very expensive drainage system the best shot at performing at full capacity. Remove those loose limbs from the trees. Remove, as I said, any debris from the catch basin. Don't shove it down there. Put it in the garbage. Bring in your outside furniture. Tie down your loose items. After your last trash pickup, secure those bins. Have your food, your water prepared, medications, prescriptions filled. In case of a power outage, the flashlight, the batteries, the pet supplies. Again, prepare for all those electrical outages. And have your family plan in place. If you're someone very vulnerable and that, a flooded street might not allow you to get where you need to go or get to a doctor's office, you have a very different family plan than someone who is very mobile, ready, very healthy, very active and ready to move. So everybody's family plan is very different. Of course, a reminder to businesses, secure your buildings, protect the windows, cover your equipment, your furniture, all of those things that you had to do, plastic covering, check your alternative data storage that we all have. And be prepared. We are expecting more specific storm surge models in the next 24 hours for our lower lying areas. and we will certainly update on those. What we're always concerned about in Jefferson Parish is our lower lying areas that are outside the hurricane protection system. Grand Isle and Lafitte, Barataria, Crown Point, those areas have really been through a lot this year, and we stand ready to help them. The state, through the National Guard, through the CPRA, is already activating resources there down in Grand Isle with pre-filled sandbags, an excavator, off-road trucks, some portable pumps, emergency generators, a fuel truck. And we, as the parish, also support Grand Isle. We're sending our own pumps down there. They're going to have 7 to 8 portable pumps we're bringing down there. Lafitte, we're fortunate to have the mayor of Lafitte with us. We stand ready to help the people in Lafitte, Barataria, Crown Point, with additional pumps, additional portable pumps. So with that, we have not fully activated the EOC yet. We probably will look to do that in the next couple days. So we will certainly give that update. And right now, as of today, we're not announcing any closures, any government closures, any transit, any garbage changes as of this moment. Again, be prepared, and we'll get those announcements out to you in the next couple days. We will continue to have Ilario Center COVID testing from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. until that will be expected to close on Friday. So we plan to have that up, free COVID testing that we've been able to stand up since the beginning, since March, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m., and we're going to have that open through Thursday and close that on Friday. I want to remind everyone to please stay informed. jeffparish.net is our website. You can text JP Alert to 888-777. For our Spanish-speaking citizens, JP Noticias to 888-777, and look for us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. So we have many more people here to tell you our preparations in Jefferson Parish. First up, I'd like to introduce our Director of Emergency Management, and this team has really had to work an excessive amount this year. We're very proud of everything we asked them to do and continue to do this year. So the leader of that group is Mr. Joe Valiente.
Thank you, Madam President. So, as was mentioned moments ago, the EOC is currently activated at level 1, which is typical normal operating procedure. Everything is being handled in-house with our emergency coordinators. We do plan, if everything stays on track with the current predictions from the National Hurricane Center, we will go to full activation on Friday at 7 a.m., and we will play that, of course, day to day from that point forward. She's correct when she says we have to prepare for a major hurricane. The threats on this particular storm are real. And this time of year, they're particularly dangerous because they do spawn a tremendous amount of tornadoes. And that just has something that's particular with hurricanes that develop this late in the season. One of the things that we want the public to really help us with is that we want them to use that 911 call. If they see any fallen trees, if they see downed utility poles, down power lines, if they see excessive street flooding or potential flash flooding, they need to call 911 and they need to report that. That's important because we log all those particular issues and complaints, and then in our post-damage assessment center, that allows us to get to those problems, identify them more quickly, and also get this parish back up and running again. If you haven't prepared yet, if you haven't created a plan yet, you can go to jeffparish.net and in the search engine type in hurricane preparedness information. It'll take you right to 5 or 6 really good links that'll tell you everything from the type of food, type of medications, water, everything that you need to know. The lists are clearly outlined. If you do plan to evacuate, make sure that you check on the website. It's 511la.org, and that will show you all the roadways that are open, interstates, and state highways. And that's a really useful tool, and that'll keep you from making the wrong turn and ending up in a roadway that's not passable. Don't forget to secure your homes, like the parish president mentioned, and don't forget your pets. And I do want to report that we checked with all 13 of our nursing homes, and at this time, they all plan to shelter in place. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Valiente. Next, from our Director of Public Works and our Mr. Mark Drews, and our Director of Drainage, Mr. Mitch Terrio.
Yes, I'm here to assure you that Jefferson Parish Public Works is ready to manage this event. We'll again rely on our most important asset, which is our experienced employees. A number have been with us for over 20 years. They've been through Rita, Gustav, Ike, and a number of its similar events. They'll be manning our critical infrastructure, which is also in excellent shape. Our water treatment plants on both the East Bank and West Bank. They'll be manned before, during, and after the storms. They have safe houses on site if necessary that the employees can go into with full automation so that they can actually run the systems from the safe houses. They have backup generators with a 5-day supply of fuel so they can withstand a prolonged outage if necessary. Similar to the water treatment system, our major sewer plants on both the East Bank and West Bank also have backup generators with that 5-day supply of fuel and can be managed through the storm and after the storm. After the storm passes, we have personnel and equipment ready to respond. Our streets and parkways departments have the ability to quickly mobilize and begin clearing streets of debris, removing any downed trees, and working with Entergy as necessary with down power lines entangled in the trees. We also have a traffic engineering staff that's capable of making any emergency road closure notices as necessary if we have flooded streets or any other type of issues, and they can also immediately start repairing our damaged traffic signals. With that said, finally, probably our most important asset during a storm of this type is our drainage system. And I'm going to turn that over to Mr. Mitch Terrio, our drainage director, who also has over 25 years' experience with the parish and has been through all of these previous storms.
Okay, I'll just start by saying, just about any month of the year, if you go back through history, we've had a major rain event, so we don't really take any time off as far as preparing and maintaining the pump stations and keeping the proper fuel required for the backup generators. That is the case now, as the parish president said. All of our pumps, generators, all of our systems, and our employees are all available. We'll probably man the pump stations on a 24-hour basis beginning sometime on Thursday. We'll keep an eye on the weather just to make that final determination. Starting today, we suspended all of our normal activities. No replacing pipes or doing things like that. Everybody has been dedicated to cleaning catch basins and drain lines. So we have about 12 Vector trucks, the trucks that clean the drain lines, that have the vacuum and water jet system. We also have as many 12 crews with pickup trucks, garbage bags, and rakes that are cleaning debris off the top of the catch basin. I'll reiterate what the parish president said. We have about 80,400 catch basins, okay? And like I'm just saying, we got 24 crews working on that today. So if you're able-bodied and able to clean out your own catch basin, we certainly appreciate that. If not, you can certainly call us. We have our East Bank number tomorrow during normal working hours is 736-6758 to report any drainage issue on the East Bank. And on the West Bank would be 437-4939. Other than that, as Mark said, what we try to live by is, we do whatever we can before the event to make sure that we don't have to proactively, deter any type of activity. We work hard during the event if we do see a problem, and after it's over, we get on it to make whatever repairs as quickly as possible. So, all right.
Thank you. This hurricane is expected to bring widespread damaging winds, and with that, we know we are vulnerable to electrical outages. So I'd like to invite Mr. Patrick Hamby from Entergy and our Public Service Commissioner, Mr. Eric Scrumetta, up.
Thank you very much. I'm Patrick Hamby on behalf of Entergy Louisiana. I want to assure you Entergy remains vigilant. We are storm ready. It's important to note we're in, the first week of October. We still have the rest of the month to go, plus the rest of November to go before hurricane season is officially over. Our State Command Center has been very active this week. We've been monitoring Delta for the past few days. I've been looking at the history of what we've been monitoring. As of 11 a.m. yesterday, 45-mile-an-hour winds. Fast forward to today, 145-mile-an-hour winds with chances for them to increase and hopefully die down before an eventual landfall on the Louisiana coast. Additionally, our crews have been going through our pre-storm checklist. We've done this not once, not twice, not 3 times, but 4 or 5 times with one actual restoration event in Laura. So we are prepared, we're practiced, and we're ready to respond. We're mobilizing actually high water vehicles into place. So if the floodwaters do come into an area that we need access to, we have equipment to get us access there. We also have an alignment of our specialized equipment, and this is some specialized equipment that we call rear alley equipment. You'll notice a lot of locations across the parish have overhead poles and lines that are in the back of your yard. That's called rear alley. So we have to get specialized equipment to allow us access between those narrow pathways. We have that lined up. Please note that every storm is unique. A Category 1 is not the same as the next Category 1. There are different challenges. They have unique obstacles associated with all of them. Most of us focus on what the National Hurricane Center has, and that's the maximum sustained winds, Category 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But we also have to monitor what everyone else has been saying, the speed of the complete movement of the storm, how quick it comes on shore, how quick it leaves and gets out of our area. That also brings the storm surge, the rainfall that could come with it. And we also have, as Mr. Valiente said, the potential for spawning of tornadoes. So those are all key factors that you must consider and that Entergy does consider. I wanted to give that preface actually before I give you some reference points, because these are based off of our historical experience that we've had for 15 plus years, but 15 years definitely. Katrina, Rita, Gustav, Ike, Isaac, Laura, now Delta. So for a quick reference point for a Category 1, when considering whether you're going to stay, shelter in place, or evacuate, based off of all of those storms, plus a plethora of other storms that Entergy has assisted with across the country throughout the years, we expect, based off that experience, that the majority, and I'm talking about 75 to 90% of customers who are affected by a Category 1 hurricane will be restored within 7 days, so that's 1 week. Category 2, based on that same experience, and the 75 to 90% of those customers will be restored in approximately 10 days. When you go up to a Category 3, that number changes to 14 days. A Category 4, and again, this is to get 75 to 90% of customers restored based off of the past storms that we've dealt with for 15 plus years. Category 4 is 21 days. A Category 5 is more than 21 days. Fortunately, we have not had to deal with that in my lifetime. I would also like to reiterate that if you stay, you may have damages to your home. There are many, many trees in Jefferson Parish. There are very high winds potentially coming our way, coupled with surges of flood waters and potential rains that soften the root system, so trees can easily topple, not only on your house, but it could also topple on our equipment, knocking power out to your house or your business. So what I urge you to do, if you stay, please, as soon as it's safe to, go outside and inspect your electrical equipment where our line comes into your home or your business. If you have evacuated when it's safe to do so, the first thing you do, please inspect that customer-owned electrical equipment where our line comes in. Overhead services, we have a weatherhead. Underground, we just have a stem that goes to the ground. Just make sure that there's no damages there, and then you can hire a licensed electrician to make sure you're working at the same time while we're working, and then when we're ready to get the lights back on, there's no further delay, and we're in sync, and we're working together. So Entergy remains storm ready. Please make a plan for yourself and for your family and for your pets. Make sure that you visit entergystormcenter.com. You have evacuation tips there, what to put in a kit to bring with you to make sure you have everything you need for your family. Storm generators are used in storms very, very frequently. I mentioned this not too long ago. In Lake Charles, we had many deaths. We want that to never happen to anybody, anywhere. Please look at the manufacturer's instructions on how to install and properly place these generators. Plus, at entergystormcenter.com, we have helpful generator safety tips as well. You can also, and I encourage people to do this, sign up at that site to receive text messages, email updates, and social media updates as well. So when you know if you do leave, when it's safe to come home, and when your power is back on, and if you stay, you also have those same updates about the power restoration. So please continue, everyone, to be safe. We are hoping for the best and planning for the worst. Thank you very much.
Good evening. I'm Eric Skrmeta, Public Service Commissioner, District 1. I've been engaged with all of the serving utilities in the southeast portion of Louisiana in my district. And I want to thank Parish President Sheng for the opportunity not just to speak to the people of Jefferson Parish, but the people of southeastern Louisiana, because we are marshaling a strike force of utility workers to respond to this storm. We have WST Co-op, Demco Co-op, CLECO, and Entergy serving southeastern Louisiana, and this media group here will reach those people. And I want to tell you about the manpower coefficients that what we put together with these groups. WST will have a minimum of 100 personnel on the ground with the ability to multiply that up as necessary. Demco has a minimum of 250 personnel on the ground with the opportunity to multiply that up as necessary. CLECO has significantly more because of their area of about 900 people with the ability to multiply that. And Entergy is right at 1,000 personnel with a significant multiplier ability to put people into the field as necessary. Now, we are going to monitor how the utilities perform. They are in a position to put out scouts during the storm. They can put out vegetation control during the storm. But it is important for the public to know that the people who go up in the buckets in these trucks, they cannot go up because of federal law from OSHA that prohibits them from going up to deal with lines aloft until the winds go below 30 miles an hour. And we want you to know that what we can do is have these people clearing vegetation in the streets. We can have them scouting. We can have them identifying issues. We've also established an airborne system where they will be using some helicopters and a significant number of drone technology to go and scout where the problems are to save significant man hours so we can get this restored as quickly as possible. It is going to be a dangerous storm. You've heard this already from your leadership. I recommend to you in all parishes of the Southeast, take your advice from your local parish leaders. This is important. This is a dangerous storm. And while it's important to be aware of your property, it's more important to be aware of your person and your family and your pets and the things that are not replaceable. But what we can assure you is there will be an immediate response to restore services to your home and to your businesses. And I want to just thank you for the opportunity to bring that message. Thank you, Madam. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Skrmeta. Jefferson Parish, we're surrounded by many bodies of water, and there are two agencies that are responsible for closing many gates to give us our perimeter defense. Southeast Louisiana Flood Protection Authority West will be represented by Mr. Nick Kelly, who's the regional director, as well as Scott Burkus here, the board president, and then Mr. Antoine Harris from the Southeast Louisiana Flood Protection Authority East on their plans in the next few days.
Good afternoon. The Flood Protection Authority West has already begun to take actions to prepare for this upcoming threat. The levee system we have on the West Bank is the best that the West Bank has ever had. We're confident that this can pass the design storm without a problem. We've begun making preparations as of this morning. Our Emergency Operations Center will activate at 6 a.m. tomorrow morning as a partial activation. We will go to a full activation beginning at 6 a.m. Thursday morning. We're going to begin closing non-essential gates at that time. We're going to be closing gates throughout the system along Peters Road, along the back levees, and then possibly, as conditions warrant, with the navigation gates at Bayou Signet, at the Harvey Canal, and West Closure Complex. We've begun making notifications to any businesses that may be impacted by these closures, and we're in constant communication with our state and local partners. So we are ready to respond, and we're prepared. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam President. My name is Antoine Harris, and I represent the Flood Protection Authority East. And just to echo my colleagues here on the podium, we are prepared, and we have as much confidence in our system as we did when we first entered storm season. We have maintained and tested this thing constantly over and over, year after year, since we inherited it from the Army Corps, and we expect and we believe that it will perform how it is supposed to perform, and how it was designed. As far as our closure plan, as of 6 o'clock, we will have closed roughly 43 non-essential gates. These are the ones that whenever we have any sort of tropical interference headed this way, we close those first, and then we will continue to monitor the storm, obviously, and then look at our plans for more closures. As far as Jefferson Parish, we haven't closed Bonneville or Williams yet. If we do, it will be as early as Thursday, but again, that will come with monitoring the storm and looking at different predictions. So again, we are prepared. I do encourage everyone to go to our website. It's floodauthority.org. And you will see a little bubble in the middle of the page that says navigational structures. If you click that, you can go there and see the status of our structures. So that'll give you a very good idea of how we're preparing as of right now. You can see which ones are open and which ones are closed. There should be messages as well that says, which ones will be next. A very helpful tool for those, who monitor that. You can also sign up for our public alerts where you can get gate closures and any information that the Flood Protection Authority East may have. That's through our Everbridge system, and how to sign up is on our website. So again, we are prepared, and thank you, Madam President, for having us here.
Thank you, Mr. Kelly and Mr. Harris. We're very fortunate in Jefferson Parish to have a very strong first responder community. I'd like to invite our Chief of the East Bank Consolidated Fire Department, Chief Dave Tibbetts, as well as the Director of our West Bank Fire Services, many of our volunteer companies, Mr. Brian Adams, up.
Thank you, Madam President. As before, our fire departments are in their hurricane preparation. We have taken a close look at our marine fleet, our small boat fleet, Zodiacs, that they're ready to be deployed if the water issue, if it becomes an issue. I know this is not the first time this year, but I'm asking everybody just to stay focused one more time. Pay attention to your information. Start from the scratch. It's a new day. It's a different storm. Let's start from the beginning. I would like to bring up the generators again that were brought up. Please do not operate a generator in your home, in an attached garage, under the eave of your home. It should be 10 to 15 feet away from any part of your home. Those fumes and vapors can enter your house in many given ways and can cause serious, serious problems and catastrophic events. So with that, again, please stay focused. If there's any, and then another point to bring up at this time would be checking, while we're doing preparations, check your smoke detectors, carbon monoxide detectors. If you have any questions, the East Bank Consolidated is 736-6200. We're glad to help. We're part of a team. We want to make sure everybody stays safe. Thank you.
Good evening. We thank everybody for showing up here today, and we also echo the same sentiments as Chief Tibbetts, and we train for these things daily, yearly. This is part of what we do. We're prepared. The West Bank departments are prepared, and we'll be here if you need us. Thank you.
Thank you. We're also very fortunate to have our new couple months, been a busy couple months, Dr. James Gray, who is our Jefferson Parish School Superintendent.
Thank you, Madam President. I was hoping my years of experience wouldn't have to come up. Everybody else was talking about 25 years. I was going to have to say 2.5 months, but here we are. Before I get started, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank all of our parents, our students, our teachers, our support employees, our administrators. We've been through a lot this year, and if it wasn't for their dedication, their hard work, and their commitment to our kids, we would not have been able to make it at this particular point. In relationship to school closures, we have not made a decision about school closures just yet. We'll continuously work with our parish officials to try to make an informed decision. Once we make an informed decision, we'll make sure we release that information out to the public. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Cray. We'll also have with us our Mayor of Lafitte, Mayor Tim Kerner Jr. Mayor.
Thank you, Parish President. It's hard to believe that we're facing the threat of yet another storm. But I want to tell the residents of Lafitte, Barataria, and Crown Point that we were fortunate the last few storms, but this one concerns me greatly. This one certainly concerns me more than the others. Right now, the model agreement is pretty straight directed worst case scenario for us. the scope of the projections right now are so narrow. So it's certainly alarming, and I want the residents of Lafitte, Barataria, and Crown Point to know that take this one serious. I always say that the people of Lafitte, Crown Point, and Barataria know better than anyone when to leave and when to stay. I want you to prove me right this time if it continues at that projection. Now, we're going to present the best defense forward. Right now, we have 75,000 sandbags already staged and ready for the water. We have 20,000 sandbags left to go, and we only have 10% until we finish. So thanks to Parish President Mitch Terrio and the Jefferson Parish Council, who I've been in constant contact with, and Timmy Gotro and Mr. Joe Valiente, we were able to get 17 additional portable pumps to go along with our 28 stationary pumps, which comes out to 45 pumps for John Lafitte, Lower Lafitte, Barataria, and Crown Point. Now, we're going to give it our all. We got some of the best people in the world that will fight this storm. But this may be a storm that's not winnable. If it continues to stay a strong storm and hits us where it's projected to hit us right now, it may not be a winnable battle. So I just urge my residents to take this one with the utmost seriousness. Don't get a false sense of security because we're fortunate these last storms, because this one's a little bit more serious. And based on those projections and how dangerous this storm could be, the parish president and I are both going to jointly call for a voluntary evacuation for Jean Lafitte, Lower Lafitte, Crown Point, and Barataria, starting at 7 a.m. tomorrow. So I want my residents to start making the arrangements to, leave, and we'll give it more time. Hopefully, we won't need to call mandatory evacuation, but based off what we're seeing, it's looking like it's a good chance. So please make the precautions, and it's in God's hands. Let's hope for the best. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. And I just have to say, if you've never been outside the levee protection system as a storm's approaching, you haven't seen the best of Louisiana. You have residents on their own defending their homes. The mayor here himself lays sandbags. I've seen it every storm, and it really it's something to see. So we want to thank you for all your efforts. We're very fortunate in the parish to have very engaged 7 council offices with a staff that really knows the neighborhoods that they represent. And so with that, I want to invite Councilman Dino Bonanno, who represents District 2, but up to speak.
Thank you, Councilman Sheng. I'd like to say, wow, it's great to see you all again, but y'all know I'd be lying. Staff member reminded me tonight that this is the 4th time that we have had to activate during this hurricane season. I've been a parish employee and a first responder for 32 years now, and I can't ever remember a season where we've had 4 threats in 1 year. In addition to that, my memory serves me correctly from my time as Jefferson Parish's emergency manager. I think there's only been 2 hurricanes to actually make landfall into coastal Louisiana during the entire time we have recorded this information. So this is truly a rare event in Louisiana. I'm here to employ the residents of Jefferson Parish to be prepared now, to make your plans now in the event an evacuation is called for. As you know, in our plans, anything greater than the 2 can cause us to call for an evacuation or a mandatory evacuation. So have your plans now, don't wait. But more importantly, have plans for your elderly neighbors and family members. I can't tell you how difficult and challenging it was following Katrina to have to rescue the number of elderly people who either stayed behind on their own or were left behind by their family members. Keep in mind, they had no running water, no sewage, no electricity, and no basic services. And in many cases, it took us days to get to those individuals. So please have a plan for them. I want you to think about this one thing, that our plans call for us during a period of time to not be able to provide you with emergency services when winds exceed 50 miles an hour. So again, if you decide to stay, in the event we have to call for an evacuation, there's going to be a period of time when there's no fire, no police, no EMS available to you if you stay. So make your plans based on that. And I just want to leave you one last thought. It is illegal now to leave your pets behind. If you have a pet and you decide to evacuate, you are required by law to take your pet with you. So make sure your plans include your pets. Please be safe, make your plans, and I thank everyone for being here today. Thank you, President Sheng.
Thank you, Councilman Bonanno. Again, we want to reiterate that this storm is a few days out before we will feel the first effects of the tropical storm winds. So please stay vigilant and stay alert and continue to monitor your media channels. With that, do we have any questions? Yes.
Based on what we're hearing, and if the tracks remain the same, when do you anticipate
because I think everybody's experience in the room says that this one looks a little hairier than anything before this year. At what point would you be considering mandatory evacuation orders if everything remains Category 4 coming right into it?
So a mandatory evacuation is something that we wouldn't do in isolation. You know, it's a regional effort. We have to look at contraflow. We need the state's assistance. So it would be, you know, other parishes would go first. The parishes more vulnerable would go first. So we have many calls every day on this. We're still a little bit out on that. You know, we have a 10 o'clock weather announcement, 4 o'clock in the morning. And so, again, we're in a mode right now of just being very, very highly alert. That is what's difficult about this one. What's kind of scares me is that it's a very, very strong storm coming in the Gulf, and it's supposed to weaken, but it shortens our time to respond very quickly. And so us being in the middle of the cone, I was telling my friend, she says, do you go left or right? You know, we were right in the middle earlier. It did shift a little bit. So there is time, but we would work certainly in conjunction with the state and the region in having an orderly evacuation, a mandatory evacuation. I know some people on their own with their family plan are leaving. You know, they just said, I'm gonna go away for the weekend. You know, can you tolerate being without electricity? Can you tolerate maybe being stuck at your home in flooded waters? Some people would just rather leave early. So again, that's sort of the mode we're in now. I do know quite a few families that are choosing to leave and just, you know, making that decision early. So, yes. Anybody else? Yes.
This is a question for Mayor Kerner Jr. Could you talk about the West Bank River Complex and any way that would have had
Okay, yeah.
Certainly. In a storm that is this dangerous for the low lying areas of Jefferson Parish, I mean, if they close the West Bank enclosure and turn on those pumps, it could be critical for us. It could be whether we have 900 homes flooding or no homes flooding. So I just would ask them, I've been working close with Scott Burke, and he understands that, and I just want to ask them to please, before closing that gate and before turning on those pumps, just do it with the utmost caution, and because it can make us or break us. So certainly, just do it if you have to. If a lot of houses are at risk, but please don't put us at risk if it's not warranted. So, thank you for the question.
And I can tell you that during Hurricane Barry, that was the first time that the Flood Protection Authority had the opportunity to operate that structure. And we learned a lot about how to operate it in such a way that we can flatten the curve, so to speak, with the amount of water that's going downstream. So we can manage it better. We've installed gauges at the 3134 bridge and the Highway 302 bridge, so we can monitor the impacts downstream of the structure. We're working with local government, we're working with Mayor Kerner to make sure that we can provide the level of protection necessary for the people inside of the protection, but still not have any negative impacts on the people outside of it. And so that is our goal. We've been working on this for about 2 years now to make sure that we've refined our processes to the point where we can minimize those impacts.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you so much for being here, and please stay in touch with us for future updates.